The Apache warrior loved her for one night. Years later, he returned to claim her heart. The night the Apache warrior rode into the valley, the desert wind carried the smell of rain and juniper smoke, and Elena Valdez felt it before she saw him, a tightening in her chest as though the land itself had whispered a warning and a promise at once. For she was standing outside her father's trading post on the edge of the New Mexico frontier, watching thunderheads pile like mountains in the distance, when hoofbeats slowed near the well and a tall figure dismounted, dark hair braided down his back, dust clinging to his leggings, eyes sharp as flint yet tired in a way only long journeys carve into a man. And he spoke her name as though he already knew it, though they had never met, explaining in a low, careful English that he had been sent by an elder to barter for supplies before a storm sealed the passes, and Elena, who had grown up between languages, between cultures, between the safe walls of the post and the wild horizon beyond, felt curiosity outweigh caution, guiding him inside where lantern light painted copper across his cheekbones, where she noticed the scars on his forearms and the gentleness with which he handled a cracked water skin. And as they talked, awkwardly at first and then with growing ease, he told her his name was Takoda, that he scouted the southern ridges, that he loved the way storms made the desert sing, while she told him of ledgers and wagons, of wanting more than dust and predictable days, and somewhere between weighing flour sacks and pouring coffee, laughter crept in, startling them both. And when thunder cracked overhead and rain finally came, drumming so loudly on the roof they had to lean close to hear one another, the space between them vanished like mist, replaced by something fragile and electric, and later, after the post was shuttered and her father asleep, Takoda offered to help secure the horses, and she followed him into the silvered night, rain slicking the earth, lightning freezing him in brilliant outlines, and he confessed that he would leave before dawn, that scouts did not linger, that the trail called him as fiercely as blood, and Elena surprised herself by feeling the ache of that truth before the moment had even ended. And when he brushed rain from her lashes with two careful fingers, asking permission with his eyes, she nodded, heart hammering, knowing some encounters were meant to burn bright and brief like summer lightning, and the kiss they shared tasted of storm water and risk, a promise neither dared name, and they spent the night talking beneath the awning while the rain softened to a whisper, sharing stories, dreams, and silences that felt fuller than words, until dawn stained the clouds rose gold, and Takoda mounted again, pressing a small turquoise bead into her palm. "So you remember," he said, though she knew forgetting would never be possible, and rode out toward the mountains, leaving hoofprints that the rising sun quickly erased, while Elena stood frozen, palm closed, wondering why one night could feel like the start of a lifetime. Years passed like rivers carving new paths, and Elena learned that time could bury footprints but not feelings. For she inherited the trading post after her father's passing, expanded it into a hub for travelers and ranchers, grew steadier, sharper, yet every storm still made her think of a scout with lightning in his eyes. And she never wore the turquoise bead, keeping it hidden in a cedar box instead, because some memories were too alive to display. And then one autumn evening, when the cottonwoods burned gold along the creek and wagons crowded the yard, she heard those hoofbeats again, slower now, heavier, as though the rider carried both distance and decision. And when she stepped onto the porch, there he was, older, broader through the shoulders, a faint streak of silver threading his braid, gaze finding hers as if no years had slipped between them. And for a breathless moment the world narrowed to dust motes and heartbeat, until he dismounted and said her name the same way as before, with wonder folded into it, explaining that he had returned from far patrols, that treaties and troubles had redrawn the land, that he had searched every settlement in the valley once he was finally free to choose his own trail. And Elena wanted to be angry for the waiting, for the unanswered questions, but instead she felt the quiet certainty that some fires only banked themselves, never truly went out, and they walked along the creek at dusk, speaking of everything and nothing, of friends lost, of changes won, of scars that came from protecting others and from surviving oneself. And Dakota admitted that he had kept the memory of that night like a compass, that whenever storms rose, he thought of a girl who listened to thunder and did not flinch, and she showed him the bead she had carried all these years, tucked near her heart, and laughter broke through the ache, followed by a stillness so deep it felt sacred. And when he asked if she had married, if someone else had claimed the life he once imagined beside her, she shook her head, realizing she had been measuring every suitor against a ghost who had finally stepped back into the light. And he told her he no longer wished to ride endlessly, that he wanted land to tend, a home to build, a partner who understood both the call of horizons and the comfort of returning. And the choice hung between them like a held breath until Elena reached for his hand, feeling calluses, warmth, certainty, and said that she had learned the frontier rewarded the brave, and that love, like storms, demanded standing in the open rather than hiding. And as the first stars appeared and coyotes sang in the distance, he kissed her again, not hurried, not uncertain, but full of years and intention, and this time it did not feel like lightning, but like sunrise, steady and bright. And if this reunion stirred your heart and you want more sweeping romances, legendary warriors and destinies reunited, make sure you subscribe to the channel now and join us for many more unforgettable stories ahead.